Hi everyone, good afternoon from beautiful Vienna. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. I'm your host, Adela Mehijanic, originally from Bosnia. And today I have a great Saara from Finland with us. Welcome, Saara.
Thank you so much, Adela. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us about your way to Austria. So let's start with what brought you to Austria, Saara? How did you find your way to Vienna?
Well, I originally came for a job. I wasn't actually particularly aiming for Austria as a location, so it was a coincidence, but I happened to see a really nice job position on LinkedIn and had never been to Austria or Vienna, but then I followed an interview process and ended up getting the job. So it was kind of a coincidence. And actually, I still remember the first time I came here, it was April, so much warmer than in Finland, where I originally come from. And it was really a beautiful sunny day, and I was amazed how beautiful the city was and everything that was going on. So from the first moment, it was a really great impression. And now I've been here already 5 years.
Nice. So that's a good coincidence. And you're one of the first guests that's got a job through LinkedIn. So that's really cool. So that those people exist.
Yes. It's possible. I think LinkedIn is one of my favorite networking tools, actually.
Mine too. So mine too as well. That's how we met, actually. Saara, what do you do? So what's your profession? Can you tell us a little bit about how your day look like? So what do you do and what's your main driver?
Yes, sure. So I'm a technology transfer and innovation management professional. And currently I'm running my own business called Nordic Catalyst here in Vienna. And Nordic Catalyst provides consulting services, training and workshops to both research organizations and companies. And the main aim is kind of to accelerate and facilitate the transfer of knowledge and technologies coming from research organizations and universities to businesses. And it's a super interesting field. So in this work, I really get to combine my scientific background and my technology transfer background with business. And it's a super exciting field.
How did you decide to, start your own business? And how did you come up to this idea, this knowledge transfer? You're one of the first people that I know that does that, professionally full time.
My career originally started from research. So I studied chemical engineering and industrial economics in my master's degree. And actually already during my studies worked in the industry. So my very first chemistry related job was at an oil refinery in Finland. So I really worked in the process fields where you see the big pipes, the tanks and all this technology and manually worked there. So that was a great start for an engineer. And I also studied some biochemical engineering during my master's in England at University College London, and then finalized the degree in Finland at Åbo Academy University. And this university is the only Swedish-speaking university in Finland. So I got kind of the Swedish language on the side. And then I continued towards a research career, first worked for an American company in Finland, and then went to do research, industry research collaborations at a university. And during this time, I kind of became more and more inspired by how I could more work with the acceleration and identification of new ideas that can have an impact also outside the academia. So this is how I got interested in technology transfer. And I got an opportunity to do some business studies in the US in 2012, so about 10 years ago, just when I had finalized my doctoral degree in polymer technology. And actually maybe a couple of words about polymer technology, because I think this is a really interesting topic as well. So in my research career, I mainly focused on biopolymers. And that means it's materials that can be used, for example, in bioplastics. and they can be useful in, for example, biodegradable packaging that you nowadays see a lot in the stores as well. But the same kind of polymers or materials can also be used in biomedical implants, for example, if you have an operation and some part of your bone needs to be taken away, you can replace it with this material, and with time, the material disappears and your own bone grows into this cavity. So finally, you have only your own body left. So I think this is so fascinating. And I'm still tightly connected to the scientific community as well. But yeah, back to the tech transfer. So about 10 years ago, I started to work as a tech transfer manager, and started as a project manager. And then before I came to Austria, the last 2 years in Finland, I worked also with strategic funding, but mainly I was responsible at that stage for the whole university's tech transfer, technology transfer and commercialization. So really wide possibilities to learn and develop new processes and activities, and also see many different types of innovations coming from the research side. So that was a great experience that gave me kind of a really broad overview into the topic. And in Austria, I first worked at a research center focusing on molecular medicine. And 3.5 years ago, founded my own business. So that's how Nordic Catalyst came into being. So that's how I ended up founding my own business. And I really love it.
And Saara, what was the main reason, that you said, okay, now I'm going to start my own business? Was there a turning point in your career, in your life, that you said, yeah, now it's the right time?
I think it was maybe a combination of many things. So I felt like I had enough experience to do it independently, and also the networks, and accidentally some clients had approached me already before and asked if I could do this kind of work independently for them. So that was a good start, of course, to already have some clients. And then I think all of my closest family members have also been entrepreneurs. So that was kind of a real alternative for me career-wise always, and I knew that it's possible, and it was not like a very scary thing.
That's one of the things that I remember from the MBA that I did. One of the advice from our professors from the university from the US was, if you have a client, then it's a good to start your own business, or stay in your current role and work aside on your business plan until you have that first client, and then jump onto the entrepreneurial journey.
Yes. I think it's always kind of a jump into the unknown in some way, but you don't know what it is before you do it. So I think it's always a jump, but you can prepare, and you can connect to different networks, for example, and get support for that. So I was also very lucky to get different kinds of support, and had great mentors along the way.
How is, Saara, out of curiosity, how is it the entrepreneurship fostered in Finland and in Austria? Do you see huge differences, or it's more or less the same support system that you can get?
I don't really see huge differences. Of course, the ecosystem is different. I was doing also in Finland, there is kind of a light entrepreneurship system through which you can also do own business activities through companies that handle your billing and taxes and that kind of thing. So that was already something that I had tried. Here, at least, I was very happy with the support. There's so many organizations, and for example, here I'm working sometimes in a co-working space. There's great official support for founding companies, and of course the regulations are very different, so you have to find out about them before you found, and also make a business plan, as you mentioned, and find out about everything that is related to the official part. Of course, there's accelerators and things like that you can also join.
Yeah, since I'm in that field as well, I see many initiatives that have been creating day by day, basically through to the female founders. For instance, it's also a great initiative, as you said yourself, female factor as well, Austrian startup. So I see that we do 5, like one of the Setila Kosting is running, that has been our guest as well. So there's probably because we are in it, so we see that there are many initiatives. So we follow the journey before and now what is happening. So it's vibrant. I would say it's very dynamic, and there's tons of different initiatives that you can approach to.
Yes, definitely. And it's also good to remember that you don't only need to, of course, connect locally nowadays. So you can join also international communities. And also one interesting, I think maybe for me at least, it was a realization that you can also yourself found new initiatives and found new networks. So in Finland, when I came into technology transfer as a new person, into the field as a new person, I, for example, noticed in Finland that there was no network that would connect the different professionals working in different universities or research organizations. So I founded a network for that was called Finnovation Champions, and that was active for many years, and we had nice collaboration meetings and kind of peer-to-peer support and sharing of best practices. So I would encourage everyone also to try this path in case there isn't a suitable existing alternative that you can just join.
Absolutely. That was one of the reasons I started the Making It in Austria initiative recently, because I made the whole circle, through all the networks more or less that are available prior to my MBA, and then during the MBA studies even further, because that's also part of the MBA. You connect with people. So one part is gaining the knowledge, and the other is the network, building on top of that. And what I saw, this is what I was looking for, what was missing. So to connect with people like yourself and everybody else, and find space where we can talk about these topics, building your own business as a foreigner or expat, international, or learning the language, or joining other networks and initiatives and so on. So just find this kind of place.
Yes, it's super nice, this initiative especially, and I'm always into new experiences as well, so I guess that's why I'm also here. But I find it a really great initiative, and I would have hoped that something like this had existed before I came. So because I think so much useful information can be delivered in this kind of discussions, and it's all about personal connections and experiences as well.
True, Saara. So you came a couple of years ago, you said almost 5 years ago, to Vienna. So how was your experience back then? You had a job, right? So what was your way of onboarding or coming to this country? So is there something that you missed or was challenging back then that you could share with us?
I think for me, it was definitely super helpful to have a job that took care of the official things and the first apartment and social security and this kind of things. So I think that was not a problem for me. Otherwise, I'm super bad at actually remembering. I only remember the good things. So thinking about challenges, what could that be? I think I wouldn't say that I had really any challenges. Language-wise, I had studied German in school, but that was 20 years, maybe then 15 years before. So there was some gap when I didn't really use German, so I needed kind of to brush up my skills. And here I did the B1 German, Austrian German certificate already during the first year, and then continued to learn independently. So I would say for my job, it wasn't an issue not to be able to speak German in the beginning. But of course, it's nice to communicate with the local people, yes. And I find it important. And of course, now, for example, during the pandemic times, it's been very useful to be able to follow the local news and the regulations and that kind of things. So it's something that I recommend.
Absolutely, yeah. You're like most of my guests before, And this is the 62nd episode. So they recommend the language, even though if you don't need it, as you said yourself, it's about, getting in contact with the locals, understanding the language and the culture of the country. And I didn't think about that because I know the language, but as you said yourself, being able to follow the news, right? It's a perfect you need it. So it's quite fascinating. Once you know something, you just forget it. So you take it for granted.
Yes. Somehow I think for me, after about 1 year, somehow I realized that I can now actually understand almost everything, and I can go and listen to an event or lecture or something like this. And somehow it was like, I don't know, it happened very suddenly somehow, but you have to work for it. So it doesn't come automatically. And I think, of course, still also I would have to improve, but it really helps even to know the basics.
Absolutely. I enjoy as well in the conversations in English that we are having. And recently I had a guest, Maggie Child, who maybe you know about her. She's the founder of this Metropol magazine, Vienna in English. So from time to time, I read that as well, because they explore things from the other angle, right? They go really deep to understand. So why is that things are like that in Austria? So why do people say, recently I read it's about drinking culture, so what kind of drinks, why do people come around drinks, when do they come around, and so on and so forth. So it's I enjoy reading this side as well, so I can even better understand things.
Yes, I like this also this magazine very much, and in general I think it's good to connect to the locals. I think for me it happened quite naturally through hobbies, to meet local people and do something together. So there is kind of something in common already, and then also to connect to the international communities and different sources of information, for example, because there is, as you said, a different perspective, and maybe in some cases, you need some peer support just in the beginning when things may feel difficult, and also for the information. So it's good to combine both, but also definitely connect to the locals as well.
You mentioned, Saara, about networks, about international organization, about nowadays as well being able to talk to anyone in the world. So what is your way around networking? So how do you connect with new people? Do you have a certain, strategy? Do you have the places where you go? So how do you meet new people? How do you write to them, and so on?
I think for me, it's super easy to meet new people and connect to new people because I'm quite like chatty and like to talk to people. But of course, in the past couple of years, due to the pandemic, we have had a lot of digital opportunities, and different matchmaking tools have emerged. Also, for example, video conferencing and these kind of things already existed for many years, but now are no problem. And you can meet new people that you never met before this way. And also themes specifically. So, for example, in my field, different industry, university, communities and events, different business specific events. So this is really a great way. Are we getting a new guest? Oh, nice. And then maybe one thing that I could also mention is, and that was helpful for myself, was different chambers of commerce that are abroad. So for example, here, the Finnish Austrian Chamber of Commerce, Fincham Austria, I was a member quite from the beginning, and also for some time a board member there. So it's good to find out whether if the listeners are coming from another country, if they have a chamber of commerce here, and if you work with business, to see what kind of services there may be, and maybe to connect to this kind of network that is between these countries and what kind of companies there are. So that was super helpful for me as well.
That's true. I didn't know how much they offer until I was thinking about the way how to connect Sarajevo and Vienna as well. So that's a really great source of inspiration and contacts and information. Yeah, we have Esma. She joined us. She just woke up and she was crying in the other room. She didn't want to miss this interview, and she doesn't hear me much speaking in English. So, Saara, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Before we wrap up, is there anything that we have missed to share with the community or with people that are considering to move to Austria? What is your...
Not really. I would say just go for it, and you can also connect to me, for example, if you're interested in my experiences or just want to ask some questions. So that's completely fine. And I think I don't think we really missed anything, but I'm super happy for this discussion that we had today. So thank you so much for that.
Me too, Saara. So I will link definitely your contact details or LinkedIn profile to this interview. And we give her for a walk. And I ask all of my guests, what book or books would they like to recommend to our viewers?
I'm currently reading this book. It's actually related to the topic of our discussion today. Yeah. So it's 29 short stories from Vienna from different authors. It's part of a book project that the city and many sponsors have every year. And it's been really fun to read it. And I'm also happy that I can nowadays read books in German. So it's a great insight to the Austrian culture and different happenings in the past and in these times as well. So if you're interested, I recommend you to get it.
Perfect. So I will as well link to the title to this conversation as well, so people can check it out. So thank you, Saara, so much for being our guest today and sharing your story. I've really enjoyed it very much. We had Finnish person who laughs, enjoys networking, is an extrovert. So everything beyond what I have imagined and read or knew about the Finns.
Thank you so much. It was so nice. And let's meet soon also in real life.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to see you at one of our next monthly get-together of the Making It in Austria. And thank you everyone for watching. And so please subscribe for the YouTube channel. New guests and new stories are coming your way. So thank you everyone and enjoy your evening.